Hey guys, it's Nia and
Kara
and today we're doing a book review of Before I Fall by
Lauren Oliver.
So, here you go. Also guys, have you noticed that this is our first book review with the two of us together, not over Zoom? You guys are currently on vacation together, so we decided why not post a book review while we're at it. Now on to the book review. The plot of Before I Fall follows a girl named Samantha, or nicknamed Sam, who has a popular group of friends and they rule this school. After driving home from a party with friends, they get into a car crash and die, except she doesn't. Instead, she comes back to life and relives the exact same day over and over. Samantha learns about how no day should be taken for granted, that life shouldn't be taken for granted either. She learns that even changing the slightest things can affect herself and others around her for the better. Now we're going to go into the rating. We give this book 4 stars mostly because of the ending. We wish there was a longer ending to this book so we could get more detail. The abrupt way it ended wasn't horrible, but just could have been a little bit better in our opinion. The characters were super great too. We really liked how the author, Lauren Oliver, made each character with a different aspect to them and a different personality. They themselves weren't the nicest, but they had another thing that could have been improved, was being able to learn about each character a little more. But it's understandable that she couldn't put everything because the book is already long enough.
Overall, this book is really good and interesting, although I was genuinely scared for a while because I read the book and watched the movie on like a 13-hour long drive, and I was so scared that I would end up like her and get into a car crash and then have to like relive the day over and over. But as long as you guys don't get paranoid easily, you will probably enjoy this. Okay guys, so this is the spoiler part. So if you haven't read the book, I suggest that you don't continue, but if you have, continue watching.
So now we're going on to our favorite characters. My favorite character is definitely Ken. He was always there for Sam, even if she was rude to him, but I still guess you could say he loved her because even though they stopped being friends, he never stopped caring for her. Another character I like is Sam's little sister, specifically when she spent the day with her. I just think Izzy never cared what other people thought, especially with the lisp thing. She just wanted to be a kid, and she loved her sister so much. I just think that before she even got in the car crash, she repeated the day she should have spent more time with her sister. I think that she should have, because her sister in the book was written very well, just as a fun-loving 8-year-old that I would have loved to hear more about. But one character I have to talk about is Lindsay. Lindsay was just like Massey from the Click book. If you read that book, she didn't care when she was mean to anyone, and I think that they kind of wrote Lindsay well as a mean character.
My favorite character was also Ken. He was kind to Sam just because of one time she defended him and promised to be her hero, which is super sweet. Sam grew up to be a not so nice person, and yet Kent was still kind to her and knew her so well that he actually made the effort to acknowledge that she wasn't herself when she was acting weird on one of the days that she was reliving. I also happen to like Ken the most because, to be honest, there was no other decent character in the book. Lindsay was super mean, and Allie and Elodie just followed, in my opinion. And I felt so bad for Juliet, and I understood why she called the girls the B word. But we only saw her like revenge type side. We didn't see like any very good qualities about her, so I don't really know how to analyze her.
Now we're going to go on to favorite parts. My favorite part, hands down, has to be when Juliet calls Lindsay the B word because she deserves it. Lindsay was so rude. She was so mean, and that made me so mad because she was bullying Juliet, and bullying is not okay. Another one of my favorite parts is when Sam realized she liked Ken. I just loved her and Kent's relationship, and I hated Rob. I completely forgot about him most of the parts. Just couldn't because he was either drunk or was trying to make out with Sam and rushing her. Overall, I didn't really have a favorite part. I was ultimately more focused on the characters and what was going on between Sam and Kent because I just loved their relationship.
So now we're going to talk about my favorite part. My favorite part isn't necessarily just one scene, but I absolutely loved how Sam finally realized how Kent was the perfect guy and how loyal of a person he was. It took her way too long, but she finally figured it out, and she even let Kent take care of her after being at the party for like the gazillionth time. And she stayed over, and he was really respectful to her. Unlike Rob, who, don't even get me started on Rob, he was just a horrible boyfriend. And I almost forgot he was a part of the book because he was just that useless of a character, and he was drunk for most of the book, or he was trying to rush Sam for something she wasn't ready for. And Kent did the complete opposite and continued to be kind to her even when she said mean things to him. There should be like a Kent fan club, and I would read a book in just his perspective. I also like the part where Sam talks to Lindsay on the last day, I think, and just tells her that she doesn't have to pretend to be something she's not, because she tries to put on this front and pretends to be like a mean person, but she's just insecure and she just doesn't want to be the one to get bullied. But I was glad that Sam told her that at the end.
Now we're going to go on to least favorite parts. My least favorite part is definitely whenever they say maybe next year, but probably not. It just wasn't the nice thing to think, and to be so rude and brag about roses. I just think that Lindsay bragged about everything just because she didn't like Juliet anymore because they used to be best friends. Another one of my least favorite parts is when Sam runs into the street behind Juliet. More because it's the way it ended, saying you'll have to find it out for yourself. I kind of wanted to see everyone she knew's reactions to her death. I wanted more at the ending, as we said in the rating. Another thing I kind of didn't like was anything that had to do with Lindsay, because Lindsay was so rude. Anything that had to do with Lindsay I didn't really like.
My least favorite part was probably when Sam first tried to stop Juliet from running into the street to get hit by the car, but it didn't do enough. And it just made me anxious, and I was sad that Sam was trying everything to apologize and it wasn't working. And she didn't realize how nothing could stop Juliet from doing this, and how she's been focused on this for the longest time. It hits even harder when, at the end, Sam saves Juliet and then ends up dying by the car herself. And I also hated how Sam, Lindsay, Allie, and Elodie would always give her a rose with a valogram on their holiday, called Cupid Day, saying maybe next year but probably not, because I feel like that contributed to Juliet's decisions. And although Sam tries to redo it by making getting Juliet more roses that day, and also changing the valogram, it just didn't do enough. And it made me kind of sad. I also kind of wonder how things would have ended up if Juliet had changed her mind after getting the new roses. Overall, this book is so amazing because it has so many layers. We loved how the characters were and how much they each could be uncovered if there were more books and if we got more parts with their perspectives. This reminds me of the book Every Day by David Leviathan, where this being named A is in a different body, and a new 16-year-old's body every day. And everything changes, the gender, the race, everything changes for that being. If you guys want us to review that book, let us know in the comments. I know it's like the opposite of this book, but it's almost as if Sam is living in a different body every day, because she kind of changes who she is every time she gets her chance to relive it. And Every Day has 2 sequels with different people's perspectives, and it's unnecessary for that book, but for Before I Fall, I would really love if we could see something like that, because the characters were very interesting.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more videos, and comment down below some books we should read and review. There is a movie to this book, so we suggest that you read the book before you watch the movie, like how we do. I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.